What's up, YouTubers? Hey guys, episode 2, Butts and Guts, happening today. Super excited. You guys already saw episode 1. If you didn't watch episode 1, now's your chance. You better go watch it. Go watch it. Which was basically everything that you could do for hip thrusts. So all the different variations, all the different machines that you were able to use, whether you're doing them at home or you're doing them in the gym. And that's really what I wanted to focus this whole series on. There's just so much information out there that when everything's thrown at you, you're kind of just like sitting there at the end of it like, well shit, what do I do now? There's all these different things, like which way is the best, and I'm not really sure what to do. So the reason for Butts and Guts is to show you all of the different things, and then you can choose what works best for you, because there are all these different variations out there. The beauty about that is that there really is no right or wrong way. Like, you just want to find what works for you and where you feel it the most. Today, which is going to be all the different variations that you can do for donkey kicks, I'm also throwing in a nice old glute workout for you guys. What I want to accentuate to you guys today and really stress, you don't always have to focus on the weight that you're getting up. In these movements, I'm just really focusing on the squeeze, because the squeeze is what is going to make your booty grow, not necessarily the weight. For everyone out there that thinks that their opinion is best, I'm here to tell you that it doesn't matter what anyone else says. It doesn't matter if what works for them is best. It's not best. It's what works for you. Same thing with diet. Same thing with everything in life. You need to find what works and ignore the rest. This leg workout that I'm taking you through, it's about 8 different moves. A lot of these moves are banded using the X bands. The code and the website is at the bottom. They're very durable. They do not roll. They're not flimsy. They're thick bands, so they're really tough. There is 5 different levels. I'm pretty sure that concludes everything for today's episode 2 of Butts and Guts. Please, if you guys have any questions at all, leave your questions down there in the comment section. I love to hear from you guys. If you have any requests on different variations that you'd like me to do, or just different movements, if you're just getting into the gym and you don't really know what you're doing, it's intimidating. So that's why I'm here. That's what I want to help you guys with. This is just really here to help you guys clarify what you should be doing, what you should stay away from, and what works best for you, because that's what's most important. These super cool shoes that I have on right now, I do want to show you guys. They are 361, which is a brand new brand. They are extremely comfortable. I just got signed by them, so I'm really loving their products. Their shoes are really comfortable. I did a Tough Mudder maybe like last month, so I practiced a lot in those shoes because it's a lot of running and I suffer from shin splints. If you have that issue, I definitely recommend getting a great pair of running shoes. These guys right here. My code is BLUE, so it saves you 20% off on any of their shoe wear, and also their tank tops. My shoes, these bad guys. Like, oh, that's my little weenie. If you guys are in my Snapchat story, you know that I have 2. So that's the first one. His name is Diesel. These are the kicks. Those are the insides, and that's the outside. They are honestly like my new obsession. They have a lot of really fun colors too. All right, enough chatting. Off to do our workout. Glute day is the best day. So the first move that I'm doing here is a cable stiff leg deadlift. You always want to make sure that you start with an appropriate weight. For any kind of stiff-legged movement or deadlift, you want to make sure that you're targeting the right area that you're trying to work. So a lot of people do stiff-leg deadlifts for their lower backs. Obviously, we're doing it here for your glutes and hamstrings, so that's really where you want to feel it. You want to make sure that you keep a slight bend in your knee and you're keeping your back completely straight and your shoulders back. So some people you'll see go super low in this movement. I generally don't go all that low because that's when your lower back tends to take the brunt of the load. I've been incorporating bands a lot more than I ever have in my workouts, and I'm seeing a lot more results. And I'm feeling it way more on the abductors, which is that roundness and fullness of your glutes that everyone's kind of striving for. So I've learned to play with the positioning of my band. Sometimes I place it right above my knee, whereas some other times I place it below my knee. Generally, when it's below my knee, I'm doing it for hip thrusts. I like to go extremely slow on this movement so that I feel it in my glutes and in my hamstrings. Again, not in my back. I go low enough to feel that stretch come through my hamstrings, and then I slowly rise up and squeeze my glutes as hard as I can at the top, tucking my tailbone under and contracting my hamstrings as well. The second move that we're doing is a single leg press. So I am all about change. I love to change the equipment that I'm using, especially when it comes to angles, which is why we're using this leg press today. In episode 1 of Butts and Guts, I used the side leg press, and typically on my quad day, I use the inverted leg press. So this is a different one than both of those. For the most part, I tend to turn sideways for my single leg presses, especially when it's more of a glute and ham focus, but clearly I switched it up today. So I am doing them facing upwards, and I attached the band to my legs. So this is a little bit different from what I normally do, but I'm getting a really good stretch in the non-working leg, which is actually going to help me in my following set when I go back to that leg. So it's activating my abductors as well as my glute and my hamstring. I finished off my set with a set of double leg press. So I keep the band on right above my knees to target my abductors. I'm driving through my heels and focusing on the hamstring squeeze with both toes facing forward and my feet high up in the leg press, and I added a nice little pulse to the movement. Third move I have is Smith machine squats. I'm using the bands here again, and I'm keeping them above my knee because I'm really trying to push the weight on this. And sometimes when it's below the knee, it's too hard, especially with these bands because they are so thick. Both of my toes are facing forward here, like most of the squats that I do to keep my knees in alignment, but I'm focusing on a totally different kind of squat. So instead of thinking about having the motion start from the top, my whole movement here starts from the bottom. So I'm taking a seat on the bench without any weight or tension on my legs. And as I stand up from the squat, I'm driving up through my heels on the middle of my foot and focusing on the hamstring and the glute to stand. And then I slowly control the negative. All right, next up we got Bulgarian split squats or single leg squats. These are definitely a love-hate relationship like any other single leg movement. You want to make sure that your front leg, your standing leg, is really far out from the bench. So that's going to give that glute ham focus, whereas if your foot was closer into the bench, it's going to be more quad focus. You can lean slightly forward in this movement, and you want to think about tracking your back knee underneath the bench as you squat down. I prefer to use a barbell like I am in this video instead of using dumbbells, just because I feel like I can really concentrate on my lower body instead of having to think about holding the weights. Move number 5 is a side step up. So I'm using a barbell just like I did for my Bulgarian split squats because I'm not a huge fan of holding dumbbells. And I also feel like it helps keep the weight distribution directly over my hips as opposed to potentially swinging the weights when you're stepping up, which is something that you really do want to avoid. Be sure to control the step up and most importantly the step down, which is the negative. So you want to make sure that you're using the top leg to push up, and same thing on the way down to keep the tension on your glutes. All right, so we're coming to the last few moves of this workout, and this one is abductors. So there's a lot of fun ways to use this machine. What I'm doing here is 3 different types of abductors, basically just changing the position of my upper body. So it's a 30 rep total set, 10 of them with my body completely straight up like you just saw, and then I shift my weight a little bit lower, so that's 10 more, so it's 20, and then I got last 10 all the way down, which you see. And I'm also incorporating the X bands for that little extra burner. It just ensures that I'm keeping constant tension on my muscles, because when I start from the upright position, it's usually a little bit harder. As I come down, the move becomes a little bit easier. So instead of upping that weight, I use the bands for my full set. My last move typically are hip thrusts, but I wanted to change up the variation that I did. So I'm doing cable pull-throughs. It's almost similar to a stiff leg deadlift, the same kind of motion, except you're actually facing the other direction. You want to start with 2 feet facing forward, so your toes and your heels are parallel to each other. The rope is coming through your legs. So as you go down, you're coming to that really deep stretch in your hamstrings like a stiff leg. And then as you pull up, you're driving through your heels, squeezing your glutes, just like every single other move for glute focus. Keep your back really straight when you're doing these and your shoulders back. This is usually the attachment that I like to use. That's what feels most comfortable for me. I, of course, added bands into this set, so this time I placed it below my knees just because of the positioning of the rope. You can't really have it over your knees and get the rope through your legs. And it's a little bit more challenging that way, so like I said, I do it below my knees for hip thrusts, and this is a very similar movement. Okay, so now for the best part of the video, which is going to be all of the different ways that you get to do donkey kicks. So I'm starting with this first one, which is kind of technically a cable kickback. However, I am bending my knee, that's why I'm including it in this video. So as I bring my knee into my chest with the cable, I'm just kicking my leg straight back. You really want to focus on that stretch when you bring your knee in and the squeeze on the way out. Flex your foot, focus on driving through your heel, and you can use 2 different attachments here. You can either use an ankle cuff like the one that I have on, or you can use a regular single hand attachment and just slide your foot in there and keep your foot flexed to keep the handle from sliding off of your foot. The second way is a Smith machine donkey kick, which is generally the most used way for me because my home gym doesn't have a butt blaster or a donkey kick machine. So this one, you just set the Smith machine up at the lowest setting, you flex your foot. I don't generally put too much weight on it because it is really heavy on its own, especially if we're doing high reps like 20, which is for the most part what I do. The tricky part about using the Smith machine is if you are putting weight on, it gets really heavy. But if you don't put weight on, sometimes it's a little bit difficult to control that bar right back down when you're bringing your knee in because it kind of just weighs itself down from gravity. So you do want to control that negative, focus on your form, and don't worry about so much about the weight. You can see my hand positioning in this video is up against the wall. I don't always do that. I do on this machine because it's set up really well for me, but I tend to use my forearms for the most part. I don't like doing it in a high plank. I feel it more so in my spine or in my lower back when I do that. I also added the X bands, of course. So again, this just adds that extra little bit of tension so that when I do go down with the Smith machine bar, I'm ensuring that even if it's not too heavy, I still have to control that contraction of the muscle. So here I'm doing about 10 with the band and the Smith machine, and then you'll see me come off of the Smith machine and go right into just banded donkey kicks for another 10. So this is a third way that you could do donkey kicks with just a band. Wrap it around your legs, right above your knee, keep your foot flexed, and you can see here that I'm on my hands. So it just all depends on the positioning and what feels good for you. Okay, so option number 4 is using a dumbbell. The reason why I like using this method is because sometimes when I use the Smith machine, I'm so focused about getting into the right position and getting the weight on there, all that stuff. So with the dumbbell, it's really controlled. If I'm wearing shorts or just thin pants, I'll kind of wrap a towel around the dumbbell so that the handle doesn't dig into my leg at all, and I can really just focus on the movement. Same thing, flex your foot, drive up through your heel. I'm going a little bit out to the side here, as you can see, which is going to hit more of that outside of your glute. So you can do whatever you feel you need more of. I'm actually doing both. I'm doing like 10 regular straight up and then 10 out to the side. Option 5, same thing basically as the previous option, except I'm doing it on a Bosu ball. Again, keep the bands around your legs, right above your knee. I'm going to come to all fours, place the dumbbell in the same spot as it was last time. Both of my knees are going to be on top of the Bosu ball. Flex your foot, drive up through your heel. You can add the Bosu into this movement if you want to just get a little bit more range of motion, or if you want to challenge your balance, add a little bit of core stability in there, or maybe if you're even supersizing the movement with some ab exercises. Option 6, using a lying hamstring curl machine. So you're going to come to all fours, flex your foot, put your foot right on that little lever for your hamstring curl movement, and just push right up. So it's a little bit of a different angle because you're kicking your legs straight out. So this exact angle is very similar to the cable kickback that I showed in the beginning. That's why I included it in there, because depending on the machine or the modality that you're using, you're going to hit a different side of your glute. So having all these options is great if one machine is taken, if you go gym hopping and not everybody has a butt blaster or something like that. This is my post-workout recovery. It's from a Phytosport line. It's a post-workout supplement. It's really super all natural. There's a lot of really good spices in it. There's turmeric, there's ginseng, there's cayenne. So a lot of those things are important because an anti-inflammatory, which is a really good way to help prevent any muscle soreness or inflammation. So injuries obviously happen from inflammation, and obviously we all as athletes want to avoid that. So that's why I supplement with that line. It tastes really good. It's mixed berry. There are branched chains in it. So there's BCAAs, which is great. I do sometimes like to do half of that and half extend, but that's just because, shit, totally put it in the wrong cup. I put it in my gallon instead of my little cup over here. Okay, so anyway, yeah, I like to put it in with that just so that I get a little bit of both. So this is my post-workout. Then I'm gonna go home and eat All About You nutritional chef meal. And I'll show you guys that too. All right, so I'm an idiot and I totally forgot to record my post-workout meal. I didn't eat it yet, but I forgot to record me making it. So basically it's just 4 ounces of chicken burger from All About You nutritional chef. The code is right there on the bottom if you guys are local and you want to check them out. That's where all of my food comes from. So I usually just get protein and vegetables, and then I add in my own carbs and fats. So this is 4 ounces. I have green beans. I just pan fried it just to make it warm. I didn't want to use the micro because the micro is really not that good for you, and pan stuff is better, and then you can add your own flavor like this awesome liquid smoke. And then I have here popcorners. 1 ounce of popcorners because that's all I'm allowed, and that's my post-workout. My Snapchatters know about this little shit back here. Woody! He insists on sitting and eating food every single meal of me. Every single meal of mine with me. While the other one is like diehard playing with a gallon. Just, he loves like the jugs. He's so cute. Yeah, you're cute too, Woody.